We don't want the microphone to be muted. Now you can hear me. Hello and welcome to Build Propulsion Lab at Devoxx France 2024, day 3, here live from Paris. And my next guest is David Robon. Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Let me guess by the T-shirt, JFrog.
Of course.
Yay!
What a mentalist. What a mentalist.
Oh yeah, no, that's like, of course. You know, the new frog of this year, I guess. No, that's the last year.
This year is
Barbie
Frog.
Frog. Barbie Frog, of course. Last year was Neo. Yeah, so what I wanted to talk about, the frogs. Yes, so the artist who did the frogs, all the frogs, or most of the frogs, visited yesterday. He's French, so he came to visit us here at Devoxx France. Did some very nice sketching. I have to show you something. Yeah, I have to show you something. I have to show the audience. I have to show the audience because it's pretty amazing. I have to, there you go.
Yes, customized your
You don't get your own frog from JFrog every day, but I got lucky enough to have one. All right, so yeah, frogs important, JFrog frogs particularly important. Back to the topic of our conversation. So David, you mentioned that you had a talk here at the conference about the Cyber Resilience Act.
Exactly. Yeah.
What is it? What are we talking about?
So it's a new European law. Basically, I wanted to make this talk to see how it impacts everyone's life in IT. And usually, when there is a regulation, say you hope you're not part of it. So, no, it's not my problem, but here it will be quite everyone's problems because in the scope of applicability, for example, you will have mobile apps, you have video games, and you may have also websites if they are part of another solution which is under these new regulations. And the first steps of these regulations is to be able to notify all your customers, either B2B or B2C, when you have distributed them, unfortunately, a vulnerability or security risk. And that's new, and this is coming in 21 months.
I have to say, this is terrible. It is really bad because, from my experience, lots of the vulnerabilities, if not most of them, are just people trying to make the name for themselves in the cyberspace, in the cyber community, and they're actually not really vulnerabilities. They are not applicable in most of the cases. They are very, very specific corner cases that are almost never true, and they came up with it not because it's a real danger, but because they want to have CVE under their name, which is fine, whatever. We don't care because we have tools like JFrog, which will actually tell us that most of this crap is not applicable because it's not exploitable, and this is fine. I don't care how many CVEs there are. But when I'm forced to actually notify each and every user about each and every CVE, even if it's not exploitable, this is a recipe for disaster.
So it is not that bad, okay? You're right, 80% of CVE are false positive. But fortunately for us, the law is quite vague, and it requires the editor to disclose and to publish applicable vulnerability. It doesn't mention a level. Okay.
Here you go.
It should be actual risk, but on the opposite, if you put some vulnerability under silence, you don't disclose them, but that later they are exploited, you will be accountable for penalties.
Yes, of course.
Have some audit. So
no, but if there is room for critical thinking and for reasoning, and you might decide as your policy, as the organization, that hey, I'm only going to disclose vulnerabilities which are exploitable in my software, and then you use tool like JFrog to actually determine between the noise and the false positives and the real issues, and only notify on the real deal, then it actually makes sense.
Yeah. So it makes sense. And, when you think about it, it's like applying what we have today in food products, but for software. When you have a packet of cookie. You are happy to see the list of ingredients. If it was marked, it's a secret. It can be a bit scary. You are happy when there is a floor with a pathogen agent that you have a batch of products that are removed from the market. So when you think of it, it's the same for software. It's annoying because it's your day-to-day way of working that is impacted. But if we focus on real threats and disclosing them publicly and with honesty, it makes sense. What is required also.
Of course. This is we have responsibility to our customers and our users to provide safe software. We try our best. Sometimes it's out of our control just because the vulnerability is discovered later, and then obviously notifying people that there is danger is exactly as notifying people about the salmonella in their eggs, even if we didn't know it when we sold them, not because we are malicious, but because no one knew.
It happens.
Yeah. No, that's good. Okay, so practically, as someone, we're Gradle and we have our Gradle Velocity product, and obviously it uses tons of open source libraries as everybody else, and now we as Gradle want to be compliant with the Cyber Resiliency Act. What steps can we take to make sure that we are both protecting our users but also protected ourselves as an entity?
So what you need to do is to keep track of all your builds that have actually been at production level and that have been distributed, and keep maybe the software bill of materials for all these release, because you will have to have like a 5-year warranty at least, okay? But you need to provide warranty of security fixes for all the lifetime of the product.
Oh my God.
So as long as you have users of a given versions, you keep the software bill of materials. You may have some alerts from it, and you disclose, and you provide remediation builds. So you need basically to keep track of your production release and to provide an update flow, okay, with or without internet, because it can be applied to a lot of devices. But basically that's it. And you also have new guidelines. But for Gradle, for example, and for every vendors, it's like you have in common request for purchase. Now the Cyber Resilience Act has these obligations in terms of vulnerabilities, applicable vulnerabilities, but it also implies you for a good security design. You need to provide an audit trail for the solution. You need to provide access control to not expose too much ports if they are not needed, things like that. So
but this is like a basic cyber, like hygiene. This is something that we do or try to do anyway. It makes sense.
Yeah, for major, it's not for all the major company. It's not something hard to reach, But when you think about it, now video games are in the scope, and you have small company, indie games, for example, for small companies, okay, it may be a challenge, maybe required.
Yeah, of course, because usually they don't have this infrastructure to support this kind of tracing back and all this kind of stuff. But luckily, I think we have tools to help them with that.
We have tools, yeah.
When we talk about JFrog, do you plan or do you have already any specific features that make implementation of the Act easier?
So yes, in the platform you already have the promotion pattern, the release lifecycle management that can help you to keep track of your distributed release and produce the SBOM at this level that you can keep for the lifetimes or 5 years at least. So for us, we can automate, all the disclosure and all the alerts when one of the components is affected tomorrow about one of the release you have distributed. So for that, we help. Okay, so it's pretty easy to do that. There are other patterns for which nobody has the tool because it's applicative design that is required. So here the tool is software architects, but for CVEs and managing what is required by the Cyber Resilience Act, and also for the Biden Act, because by the way, it's
they're very similar. Absolutely, yeah. It's also the same idea that you have to have the SBOM and as we just mentioned, those are basic cybersecurity patterns and basic cyber hygiene. So It's no, you should do it. And if what you needed is a kick in the butt from the government, you have that as well now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, okay. David, that was excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you for enlightening us. Thank you for enlightening our audience. And you stay tuned for more episode of this awesomeness and Build Proportion Lab at Devoxx France 2024 right after that.